when you're in trailers. Everybody's lost it.
How did we get here?
This is really unprecedented.
We got the alert last night.
We've just gone to extreme fire danger here.
We're out here monitoring the wind speed, humidity, barometric pressure.
So this may be an unusual event. We do have the potential for rapid fire spread.
I woke up 7:30 this morning, it was dark.
We pretty much just grabbed what we could and got out.
All of our neighbors were pulling out too.
Didn't expect it to quite get as close as it did.
Oh my God.
It is a war zone. I've never seen anything like it.
Oh my God, it's our house.
It looked like a bomb went off,
Yeah.
is what it looked like.
Oh my God, thank God we got out of here.
It was less than 100 yards across the street from the house. And at that point, there's nothing you can do. And you can see burned footprints.
Let me start with some good news today.
Good news. Finally. Here's the story. And we thank you for being with us. I'm Dan Haggerty. Man, after the week like the one we just had, hearing some good news feels a bit like coming up for air, doesn't it? And we could certainly use some fresh air. You know, on top of the fires, the destruction, the unimaginable loss of life and property, air quality trackers yesterday and today say Oregon's air hasn't just been bad, not awful, but worse than anywhere on Earth. Not just the West Coast, not just America, the world. Since Tuesday, we've been waking up to these gray or yellow, orange, even these blood red skies, especially in towns along the Santiam Highway. Now, these east winds that usually don't kick up until November or even December are choking out almost every inch of Western Oregon right now. We do, though, want to talk about that good news that Governor Brown mentioned.
The weather system fueling these fires over the past few days has finally broken down, and our firefighting teams tell me they can feel it. We anticipate cooler air and moisture coming in the next few days, which is really good news. Still, firefighters continue to work around the clock to save lives and property from destruction. Well over 1 million acres of land has burned, which is over 1,500 square miles.
All right, Matt Zaffino joining us now, just the guy to talk about what's next. Matt, what is next?
Hey, Dan, there is good news to talk about, but I want to share with you this imagery first because it's just so impressive. This is the satellite imagery this morning, which you see with this dark line moving across. That's called the terminus. That's basically sunrise moving on off to the west. And as the sun rose over the Pacific, it revealed an area of smoke from our West Coast fires from California and Oregon, extending over 1,500 miles out to sea and wrapping around this big area of low pressure that's south of Alaska, northeast of Hawaii. Truly impressive to see the smoke getting ingested into that big area of low pressure there. It's something we don't see very often. So again, it speaks to the expanse of smoke that we are dealing with and the volume of smoke that is being produced by these fires here along the West Coast, giving us scenes like that. That is depressing. I know the smoke is not fun to look at. So let's look on the brighter side and dovetail with Governor Brown's message there. We have seen increasing humidity and we have light winds. That has led to less extreme fire behavior today, and that is going to continue. What do I mean by less extreme fire behavior? Well, think about earlier in the week when we had those strong, dry east winds blowing on the fire to the tune of 40, 50, even 60 miles an hour, basically making those fires unmanageable. They just run as long as the wind is blowing on them. Well, that has ended and those east winds are not coming back. So that means the fire isn't behaving like a wild animal anymore. It's kind of calmed down, and the reports from the fire saying, hey, we're no longer seeing the fire jumping from treetop to treetop. It's more of a ground fire. That makes it more manageable, and the spread is far less rapid than it has been. The other thing on the bright side is this. The smoke may thin a little bit this weekend over the valleys. I wouldn't put too much stock into that. It's still going to be smoky. We're still going to have bad air quality, but it may just uptick just a bit. And then here's the really good news. We get rain. We get rain Monday night and Tuesday and even beyond that. And it may actually turn into substantial rain, not enough to completely put the fires out. I don't expect that to happen until we get like several days of rain and even some mountain snow. That's typically, by the way, when our western fires are put out, if they're big enough, and these certainly qualify on that front. So again, there is a lot of good news there. In the meantime, the air quality remains awful. As Dan mentioned earlier, these are the local air quality monitors. It is a little better to the north and east, but it's going to get worse as the smoke is spreading in that direction right now. Here's the smoke model. I'm going to jump away from that because I want to look at a graphic here that I made on the air quality that we have going on. There's the air quality warning that we have that covers all of Oregon and Washington. It's really quite extensive. And I'm gonna work up this graphic here on that air quality that I was talking about, because it is just so crazy. Well, we're going to find that a little bit later on because it's a little bit tough to find right now. But nonetheless, as you mentioned, Dan, we have the worst air quality in the world for all major cities. It's Portland. But when I drilled down deeper into that and looked at some of the smaller cities, it's way worse in other parts of Oregon than it is in Portland. So we'll talk more about that at 6:30.
Yeah, graphics or not, you look out the window, open the door to walk to your car. Yeah. You can tell that.
Or don't open the door, because that just brings that bad air into your car or home, right?
Exactly. Matt, thank you so much. And we're talking about good news here off the top, but Matt, and a lot of you are saying, yeah, but I'm being evacuated, or I'm thinking about being evacuated, or I know somebody who is. I guarantee almost everybody watching right now can say they're one of those three categories. And 10% of Oregon's population is right now in some evacuation level, 1, 2, or 3. 1 being pack a bag, 2 being put that bag by the front door or in the car, and 3 being grab that bag and go. 10%. That includes me and my wife and my 2 kids and my mother-in-law. That's 500,000 people. Imagine that. Now, to understand the scope, I think it's important to look at the growth of these fires, right? KGW put together a time lapse starting all the way back on August 17th, all right? So that was a while ago, and you can see those little red dots grow slowly east of Detroit and Mill City. It's pretty incremental growth until the day after Labor Day. Look at the difference between September 7th, September 8th. That's when we started getting those early east winds that caused the fires to explode in size and kind of pave that path west across the state. You heard Governor Brown say earlier that 1,500 square miles have burned. That's more than 1% of the entire state of Oregon torched. Pat Doris takes a closer look for us.
From the air, we get an infrared view of the enormous Riverside fire bearing down on Estacada. The FLIR company sent its newest camera up Thursday and Friday to help firefighters see through the thick smoke. As expected, they found widespread heat and fire. They shot this video around 1 o'clock Thursday over the Clackamas River, the monster blaze still growing in strength and size. But in some areas, the embers have cooled, and now the numbing scope of the catastrophe is clear. In the tiny town of Talent between Medford and Ashland, the destruction staggers the mind. Talent had a population of 6,000. The Oregonian reports as many as 600 homes here are destroyed, heaps of scorched metal. Stunned homeowners have returned to try and take it in. Many look, but cannot fully comprehend what's happened to their town and their lives. In nearby Phoenix, it's much the same. The Oregonian reports as many as 1,000 homes burned here. Governor Kate Brown promised to help the homeowners today, but said the reach of the fires is historic.
Well over 1 million acres of land has burned, which is over 1,500 square miles. Right now, our air quality ranks the worst in the world due to these fires.
While the weather is changing, and that will help, the danger is still here. Unheard of numbers of people are on the move or on alert.
More than 40,000 Oregonians have been evacuated, and approximately 500,000 Oregonians are currently in evacuation zones. That means 500,000 people are either at a level 1, 2, or 3 evacuation alert.
The massive Beachy Creek fire and Lion's Head and Riverside cover 440,000 acres. They are so hot and have burned so far, it may take winter rains and snow to snuff out their flames. The good news is the howling winds have calmed and moist air is coming to the rescue next week. Fire bosses reported progress in several areas of the state, but thick smoke is still keeping aircraft down, leaving the battle on the ground. Governor Brown said she's asking for help across the country and personally spoke with President Trump last night.
He either was on Air Force One or getting onto Air Force One. I explained to him that the situation on the ground was extremely dire, that at that point in time we had roughly 40,000 Oregonians who had been evacuated. The extent of the fire damage, he said, you have all of our support. Please let us know what you need, and God bless Oregon.
The state got approval from FEMA for disaster aid on at least 15 of the fires and also for help with housing and other disaster relief supplies. The state is still finalizing the numbers of the missing, but it's not looking good.
As of now, there are early reports from our state police that there are dozens of missing persons related to the fires, specifically in Jackson, Lane, and Marion counties.
A recovery team from the Oregon National Guard will meet tomorrow to begin helping with the grim task of searching for those who did not make it. In Northeast Portland, Pat Doris, KGW News.
Now, climate change is, of course, kind of top of mind during these devastating wildfires. And experts, even like our very own Matt Zaffino, say that climate change may play a role in wildfires like this, but it's important to keep in mind the context of these fires, like where and when they started and what caused them.
It is unprecedented in that we have this sort of perfect culmination of a lot of things that are coming together right now. Very unique weather patterns that we typically don't see this time of the year. And that's happening all across the West. We have historically poor forest management and suppression of fire, which over the years has created this great amount of fuel in our forests. And then, as we know, like 90% of most forest fires are created by people. So people camping, people being in the outdoors more. And then on top of that, just continued direction towards more drought and warming weather, which does contribute to those conditions which make wildfires more prevalent.
Now, another expert that I spoke with told me to look at it this way. He said you can't look at a baseball game to pull statistics on a player, just one game. You have to look at the whole season or multiple seasons to see if certain events are statistically significant. And the same is true when it comes to wildfire season here in Oregon. We're not able to point at the map and just say the wildfire season of 2020, that's when we really started to see the effects of climate change. Scientists have to analyze all of these fires in full context compared to years past to see exactly how climate change contributed to them. Now today, California's Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law allowing the inmates who are fighting the fires there to have their records expunged and to give them a path to become a professional firefighter once they're released. It really got us thinking about the number of inmates fighting Oregon's fires, people who are making about $10 a day to do so. On Wednesday, the Oregon Department of Corrections told us that there are 110 inmates from South Fork Forest Camp, with possibly 20 more on the way. 40 from Coffee Creek Correctional Facility, 10 from Mill Creek, and 10 from Shutter Creek. Also pretty interesting how many prisons we have named after creeks. But if we add up all of those inmates, it's 170 people. And considering there's an estimated 3,000 firefighters working across the state, that means about 6% of them are coming from our prisons. They do get paid, as I mentioned, but it's not much. It's like $10 a day, and that's on the high end. They get a base of $6 a day to fight these fires in cash. 3 of those dollars go into a spending account, and 3 go into a savings account for when they get released. They also accumulate points for every full day that they work, which can be converted into cash. So if an inmate works the whole month, for instance, they could make up to $9.80 a day. The point is, they're not doing it for the money. They certainly aren't being forced to fight these fires. They're volunteering to do this work. So, thank you. And with that said, you know, it's not lost on us that all of our brave firefighters are being asked to run toward historic destruction on 9/11. 19 years after the attack that changed this country as we know it. Across the country today, we marked the occasion, the moment, in many different ways, the ways we've grown kind of accustomed to over nearly 2 decades now. We read the names of the nearly 3,000 people who died in the towers and at the Pentagon or in a field in Pennsylvania. Their families told stories about them. and memories of fallen brothers and sisters echoed in the walls of fire stations and police departments across New York. Meanwhile, here on the other side of the country, their comrades on the West Coast marked today by answering that same call by running toward the flames while thousands run to safety, putting themselves between us and the worst fire in recorded Oregon history. It is still hard for me to believe that day was so long ago, almost 20 years at this point, and that there are adults now with children and grown-up lives who were too young at the time to remember that morning or certainly what life was like before it. I think about how I'll explain it to my sons when they're old enough to understand, and maybe you're searching for the words too. Maybe your kids are old enough and you're ready to have the conversation. If you are, I think a good place to start is with the bravery that we are witnessing right now in our own backyard. I don't think there's any way that we can thank our first responders enough, but we should try.
Spreading rumors isn't harmless, especially during a wildfire. It clogs 911 lines, puts lives in danger, and a firefighter with 25 years under his belt has had enough of it. And we've been calling these fires historic and unprecedented, so we're going into the KGW vault, into the infamous Tillamook burn, to put everything we're seeing into perspective when the story continues.
Information about the wildfires is constantly changing, so KGW is here for you with crews in the air, crews on the ground, and the latest weather information. KGW is working to keep you informed so you can keep your family safe.
Are your granite countertops dull? Smudge and smears won't come clean? Call us. We'll deep clean, sterilize to hospital standards, and seal it for life. Call PermaTreat.
Coming up, a family's nightmare as cops burst into their home with a battering ram. It was the wrong address. Watch Inside Edition tonight at 7:30 here on KGW.
The model year-end clearance sale is on. Get new Hondas from just $169 a month or save thousands with 0.9% financing for up to 60 months. Every Honda is on clearance during the model year-end clearance sale. Search your local Honda dealer today.
Why are prescription drugs so expensive? It's a cycle. Politicians like Jamie Herrera Butler run for Congress, and the prescription drug industry funds her campaign. She votes to give those big drug companies big tax breaks and lets them raise prices, and they rake it in. So when it's campaign season again, there's more money to give out, and we get higher prescription drug costs.
We've got to put a stop to this. I'm Carolyn Long, and I approve this message.
A smile has the power to get you feeling all right. At Aspen Dental, we're making every day a little brighter with our Smile Wide, Smile Safe promise. We've got you covered in every way, giving deep cleaning a whole new meaning. And if you don't have insurance, we'll give you an extra safety net too, with a free new patient exam and x-rays. At Aspen Dental, we're making it all right to feel safe and get smiling. We promise. Call 1-800-ASPEN-DENTAL.
The model year-end clearance sale is on. Get new Hondas from just $169 a month or save thousands with 0.9% financing for up to 60 months. Every Honda is on clearance during the model year-end clearance sale. Search your local Honda dealer today.
Well, the rumor mill is working overtime on the interwebs today. Loads of people insisting, without really any evidence at all, that insert boogeyman of your choice is intentionally starting these fires, like Antifa or the Proud Boys, and they're not. All right, let's just say that right off the bat. And police departments and sheriff's offices, even the FBI, have all come out to debunk these rumors. Thing is about rumors, they're sticky. But if you don't believe us or any of those agencies, Kristen Severance found someone who might be able to convince you.
I've had my fill of you guys trying to make my life your conspiracy theory.
TJ Heiner is in charge of a 20-man crew fighting the Lion's Head fire in Oregon. He's been fighting wildland fires for 25 years.
Fire season 2020.
His work is tiring. Here they are saving homes in Idana in a video he posted to Facebook. But he's most exhausted from seeing the unending stream of fake conspiracy theories about Antifa starting these fires.
And Antifa's not running through the woods. Those guys don't even want to leave their skateboards. We got fires starting 30 miles out in the woods, and you want to blame Boogaloo and Antifa? You guys are crazy. You're looking for conspiracies. None of it makes sense. We're 30 miles into the wilderness, Nobody's come out and said I did this, because they didn't. We did this. We built our power grid. We rely on it. We built our houses too close to forests.
Heiner said he's not a Democrat or Republican. He's voted for each during presidential elections.
I'm a 50-50. But your political agendas being brought onto my work is exhausting.
His 12-minute video has been viewed 178,000 times so far.
If it's from some weird darknet website, why share it? If it doesn't have fundamental facts backing it up, stop sharing. You are a part of the problem if you're sharing conspiracy theories. You are part of the problem if you're making my job be your politics. You are part of the problem if you're not standing up for me while I am doing my best to save towns. Last night was crazy, cutting line, losing it, but we saved Idana. And guess what? There wasn't a single leftist there.
The FBI released a statement saying any claims extremists started these fires are untrue. The Medford Police Department said reports they arrested an Antifa member for starting a fire are also false. And the Douglas County Sheriff's Office said reports they arrested 6 Antifa members for starting fires are made up. Sergeant Brad Odell said dispatchers are now wasting time dispelling rumors.
We know that we don't have 6 Antifa members sitting in the Douglas County Jail for arson.
As for Heiner, the father of 4 ends with a simple plea in the public video.
I love you guys. I miss you guys. I miss my kids. I miss my dogs. I miss my farm. It sucks that my wife has had to fear running away while I haven't been able to defend my home. I am tortured by what's going on at home, people. I'm tortured. To know that my house could burn down and I'm out here, but this is what we do. So in return for me giving up my ability to defend my family and my freedom to move as I see fit, I ask you for one favor. Talk to the people who are sharing misinformation. Give them the correct information.
Okay, so TJ's video is already up to more than 230,000 views and counting. You can watch the entire thing on my Facebook page right now. It's 12 minutes long. He gets into a lot, including the fact that arson may be a factor in some of the fires. We know officials are investigating a fire in Ashland. But the whole theory that Antifa started these fires is false. And Dan, this guy's great. I think we may need to start the hashtag #HeyTJ.
Well, if he can rant for 12 straight minutes, I agree. Thanks. Appreciate it, Kristen. Now, Kristen mentioned there an arson case in southern Oregon, but look, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office was really careful to say that it's separate from the overall investigations of how the main kind of fire started. Deputies arrested the man here you see here. That's Michael Bakella on Tuesday night. They say he was lighting a fire behind someone's house in Phoenix, Oregon, well, where the Alameda fire has done extensive damage. The sheriff's office says Bakella was a transient. He was carrying more than 2 ounces of meth on him at the time of his arrest. They also say that they're investigating the fires he started separately from the overall Alameda fire. Fire officials say that they're still not sure how the Alameda fire started, along with how the Beachy Creek fire started, or the Holiday Farm fire, or the Echo fire. We do know that lightning sparked the Lion's Head fire east of Salem, and the Riverside fire burning in Clackamas County is categorized as human caused. But an Oregon wildfire official emphasized that human cause does not imply purposeful intention. It could have been accidental, like a campfire. They also said it could mean a fallen power line. We just don't know yet, but they will investigate it. Now, it is natural when you see something as dramatic as these fires to think back to the last time anything like this has happened before. And I think maybe the closest to it would be the Tillamook burn, which went on for almost 2 decades. And our KGW vault is full of old videos about these fires. So let's take a look back.
We usually think of fires as a one-off thing that might happen once a year. But after the Tillamook burn broke out 87 years ago, on August 14, 1933, it kept reigniting in the northern Coast Range every year until 1951. It was actually a series of fires. The worst one broke out near Gales Creek, west of Forest Grove, during a logging operation. In 10 days, it burned more than 40,000 acres. That's about the size of the 2017 Eagle Creek fire. But then it exploded. Within a day, it spread to 240,000 acres and created a firestorm. It didn't stop burning until the fall, when it finally started to rain. But it had burned so much land, all those dead and dried out trees became a powder keg, and that's what kept reigniting year after year. In 1951, when the fires finally stopped, the state began a huge restoration project. People planted more than 72 million seedlings over the next 20 years. And in 1973, Governor Tom McCall designated the former burn area as the Tillamook State Forest.
Now, overall, the Tillamook burn torched about 355,000 acres over a course of 18 years. But when you compare that to the fires, which have burned now almost 1 million acres since Monday, there doesn't seem to be much of a comparison. We're going to finish the story after this.
Love your new house, but the old owners left their germs and grime behind on your shower, floors, and countertop? Erase the past. We'll deep clean, sterilize, and seal. Call Permatreat.
Bi-Mart's Big Buys continue with exciting new savings on a great selection of products. Wake up with a mug of Seattle's best coffee and enjoy a bowl of post-breakfast cereals. Or spice up your dinner with a can of Denison's chili. And take care of your truck with Chevron Delo motor oil. Bi-Mart is ready when you are, so take advantage of these great deals and more. They're going until September 22nd. Big brands, big value. Bi-Mart Big Buys.
Little hands should hold this, and these, but never these. Tobacco and vapes kill thousands and cost Oregonians $1.5 billion each year. But Measure 108 can start the healing. Oregon doesn't tax vapes, so by establishing a vape tax and raising the tobacco tax, 108 funds health and prevention programs. It will prevent thousands of deaths by getting smokers to quit and keep thousands of children from starting. A healthier Oregon is in our hands. Vote yes on Measure 108.
Jackie, I'm looking at your MRI. Your shoulder seems to be healing nicely.
Well, Dr. Farrell, it feels really good.
That's good.
And I'm sorry. Baby, don't touch that. I don't want you to play with it.
Twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. I'm so glad that your shoulder's feeling better, but how are you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
Schedule a video visit with your doctor and get quality care with no copay. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive.
Why are prescription drugs so expensive? It's a cycle. Politicians like Jamie Herrera Butler run for Congress, and the prescription drug industry funds her campaign. She votes to give those big drug companies big tax breaks and lets them raise prices, and they rake it in. So when it's campaign season again, there's more money to give out, and we get higher prescription drug costs. We've got to put a stop to this. I'm Carolyn Long, and I approve this message.
All right, one more thing before we read a comment or two. We just need to say thank you. I mean, a huge thank you to all of the people who have helped out. And the story viewers have been incredibly generous this week. Most of your generosity is just, it's been incredible. Since KGW partnered with the Red Cross and activated the Northwest Response Fund, you have helped us raise nearly $810,000. That's over $750,000. It's going to go directly to wildfire recovery. And it's just incredible. I mean, thank you so much to everyone who is being selfless right now and helping out. If you would like to do that too, it's really easy. You just take out your smartphone, use the camera app on there, point it at the QR code that you see on your screen. We're going to keep it up just a moment or two to give you time to do that if you'd like. And once you do it, it will take you automatically to a link to the Red Cross page where you can donate. Again, every dollar goes to wildfire recovery. To everyone who has donated already, I can't say it enough. I'll repeat it 1,000,000 times. Thank you, especially to the people who have lost everything and they really need all the help they can get. You've done fantastically. I mean, it's just been amazing. $800,000, I can't believe it. So I do want to read one comment. Somebody had a question about elections. They said, look, elections are coming up. So many people have lost their homes. So many people are displaced. Routes are going to change for USPS. What about ballots? What about elections? So we're going to continue to cover these types of stories. The thing that you should do is contact the elections office. If you have lost your home, they're going to want a new address for you to get that ballot. And I know everything probably seems a little trivial right now if you are in that position or if you have family in that position. But missing out on an opportunity to vote might be something that they look back and regret. So if you have some people who are closest to you who may have lost their homes, work with them, step up, try and help them get that new address and get it to the elections office so that they can get their ballot. But we'll continue to cover those types of issues and many others surrounding the fallout from these fires and how people can rebuild and recover their lives. Thanks for being with us this week. Keep reaching out and using the hashtag HeyDan. Thanks for being with us on The Story.